nice to be back. I hope you're enjoying your day. For those of you shopping, do shop nice. Make sure you get yourself something warm and something good to drink. Like you said earlier, we have two special guests in our midst today. They have lovely story to share, inspiring story indeed we all need to hear and be encouraged to live our life to the fullest. I'd like to welcome both of them to introduce themselves. We're going to be starting with the lady first, so she's going to introduce herself. Then we're going to I call him the man of the day. His story is so unique. And actually, I don't want to say a lot. I want you to hear from these people yourself. And I believe you're going to be inspired to live your life to the fullest. Ma'am, please can you introduce yourself to our listeners and also people watching you from all over the world. Just they want to know more about your story, but we need to know who you are, and they're going to know who is the man next, right? So you, okay.
Hi there, my name's Julie Limb. I come from Sutton-on-Sea in Lincolnshire. I'm a holistic therapist, wellness coach, and an author and screenwriter.
Thanks for coming, truly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'd like to know the handsome man by your side. Where is this next? So please can you tell us who you are?
Hello, my name is Nigel Limb, and I'm the fastest partial blind man on a motorbike in Britain.
Wow, lovely. That is worth celebrating. So Julian, Nigeria, I want to ask you, your journeys are extremely remarkable, highly connected to one another. I want to find out this. Could you share how you supported each other through life challenges, and particularly following Nigeria's accident? His accident was so touching. Going through it, I read it and checked his profile. And how those experiences have shaped your outlook to life? Can you share?
Okay, so when Nigel had his accident, we'd only been married for just over a year. We found each other quite late in life, and we'd also been supporting my elderly mother who passed away that year with a brain tumour. So we'd nursed her at home. That was in the June, and then 6 months later Nigel had his accident. He was on life support. So it was a very tough, very challenging time because they didn't know if he was going to survive. And after 11 days, he actually opened his eyes. I mean, I hadn't left his side. He was in the Royal Infirmary in Hull, in the special care, in the ITC unit, intensive care. And of course it was Christmas, so they were very short-staffed. And there was 22 patients on life support in that hospital, bare minimum staff, but they all had a specialist nurse each. But there's one consultant, one registrar, so you can imagine that it was very tough. Nigel's parents were quite elderly at the time, and they were coming over to support me as well. Family members were coming over to say goodbye because they didn't think he was going to survive. And then we had this talk in what I call the room of doom. And the consultant said, can you tell me what his wishes would be? And you don't want to hear that about somebody that is so important to you. You don't ever want to have that conversation. But of course, motorsport is a risk. We all know it's a risk. But it's something that you don't think is ever going to happen. So on that Friday, we had the talk, and I happened to know that because I'd spoken to his best friend who he used to go racing with, and they'd had the conversation about what would happen if they had an accident. Would they want to live wired up to machines? And they both said absolutely not. So it was very difficult when they said what would his wishes be, and I said, well, I know that he wouldn't want to live in that vegetative state. But I said, please can you give him the weekend? Because I'm sure I saw a tear come from his eye when I was playing some music to him, and they said, oh no, you're just clutching at straws. It was just secretions. We don't think he's going to make it, basically. But they agreed to give him the weekend. And on the Monday morning, he opened his eyes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and by the Wednesday, he was sat up in bed. They called him Miracle Man.
Wow.
It was miraculous.
This is interesting. Do you have anything to add to this?
No, because obviously I was in a coma.
Wow,
No, I don't. And from my point of view, obviously it was me that put everybody through this because it was me that was racing. But when I was in a coma, I knew nothing of this, obviously, and it was Julie and everybody else, my family, and that was suffering. You know what I mean? They was upset and obviously crying and everything else, and I was just asleep in my coma.
Very interesting,
Yeah.
very interesting. Your story is it's like converting lemon to lemonade.
Yes.
I look at your story talking about turning pain into purpose. I want to ask Julie, the up, you talk about the up as being described as raw and gritty,
Yes.
and then partly inspired by your personal experiences.
Yes.
How much of your journey is reflected in the story and that of Nigel's? And how did your experience influence the theme or messages in this book?
Okay, I would say it's probably 95% true to life. Because sadly, when I knew Nigel was going to be okay, that's when my mental health broke. Because, yeah, I think when you have to carry on, you carry on, you carry on, you carry on. And I've barely slept for 11 days. And we all know sleep deprivation is a killer, right? I probably had half an hour here and there, but most of the time I was by his bed when I could be. I was supporting other people, supporting family members. I was trying to keep up with social media because he was trending on Twitter at one point. This is how much people were messaging me, and I had to say to one of my friends, can you just deal with all the messages because I can't physically cope anymore, mentally cope with it. But once I knew he was going to be okay, it was almost like my body said, that's okay, you're not needed now. And my family said, go home, get some rest. As soon as I let my body relax and I went home, my mental health literally spiralled out of control, so much that I was sectioned 2 days later. And I was sent a long way from home. So basically we live in Lincolnshire, I was sent to Potter's Bar.
Well, that's a long distance.
Yeah, but it was a lovely hospital, the staff were amazing, they knew what had happened, they knew that Nigel was recovering, and they'd said, you know, he's going to be transferred to a different hospital, and my aim was to get better so that I could go and support him again, because they wouldn't send him home until there was somebody to look after him. So I was there for 2 weeks. I was actually sent home on the 26th of January, which will be 9 years tomorrow. And Nigel was home the next day, and then I thought I was okay, but I really wasn't. I wasn't in a fit state to be looking after anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
And then 4 weeks later, I was sectioned again because Nigel, and I know we've spoken about this a lot, and it's quite upsetting for him to hear how reliant he was on me, because at that point then we realised he'd lost most of his eyesight. We were just so relieved that he was here and still living that we hadn't really appreciated that he couldn't see. And it was a while before the consultants realised that as well. So we were coming to terms with the loss of his eyesight. He'd lost his business. He was self-employed as an auto electrician because couldn't drive anymore, couldn't do his work anymore. The bills still keep coming in because nobody says you don't have to pay your council tax because you've had an accident, right? And because there was nobody else involved in the accident, it was a motorsport accident at a racing venue, there's no insurance to claim on. There's no, you know, literally I couldn't work, Nigel couldn't work. So those few weeks when we were at home, we had extra outside stresses as well. And I ended up being sectioned again, and then I was sent to another hospital near Croydon, and there's no beds in Lincolnshire, there weren't at that point. And then I was sent to an abusive hospital, and I was supposed to be there for a week to get some rest, because once again I hadn't slept. I was supposed to be there for a week, and I ended up being there for a month and fighting for my life to get out of that place. I had to get an advocate to get me home. And I managed to get an advocate, and the day when he came in, he said, you shouldn't be here. He said, I'm going to get you out today. I've got the weight of the government behind my fist, I'm going to use it and I'm going to get you home. And I was able to, from that moment, as soon as I got home, I started writing my book because I didn't want to forget anything that had happened. So it's very raw, it's very gritty.
Do you have a copy of the book here?
I don't actually, no, sorry. I meant to bring one, and I actually, yeah, I realised when we were travelling down that I hadn't brought one with me,
Next time
sorry.
probably, okay?
Yeah.
Because I think it would be nice for people to read your story.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, I can send you the
Okay,
link.
please, I would like to
pop on
have
your
that before we
channels.
close. We'd like to have that today.
Of course.
And so I want to come to you, Nigel. You have achieved incredible feats. On YouTube and Twitter, you've seen your stories. You have from breaking record as partially blind rider to building the first electric speedway bike in the UK. That is something.
And ride it.
And ride it.
Yeah.
Can you share what drives your passion for innovation?
Well, obviously, to race a motorbike in the first place, that you've got to have drive. You know what I mean? You've got to be something in your head's got to be missing, stroke, you got to have drive. I've always been a driven person. So after I came home and out of my coma, like Julie said, I'd lost my business, I'd lost my eyesight, I'd lost my wife, I didn't know if she was going to come back again. I'd lost everything about myself. So I then wanted to commit suicide, and I've never ever for 1 millisecond thought that. I've had a great childhood, I had great parents, I've had a great life. So for me to want to do that was kind of insane, really. So all I wanted was to get my eyesight back so I could carry on my ordinary life. And obviously I knew it weren't coming back, but I still hoped every day. And then after probably 18 months, I said to myself, this is how you're going to be for the rest of your life. So you've either got to like it, or you've either got to embrace it, should I say, or just sit doing nothing. And because of my natural driven personality, I chose to fight it and live with it and embrace it and everything else I can do with it.
Did you receive help from family members, friends during this period, trying to get you to be emotionally stable?
No, I don't think I've never asked for anything really, because I've always been my own person, if you know what I mean. And so
we did have support, but a lot of the time we were like, it was so alien to accept help, because we were the ones in the middle. We've got grandchildren, we've got kids, we had elderly parents, so we were the ones that everybody came to.
We were the caregivers, weren't we?
We were the caregivers. So to be in the position where you have to ask for help was so out of character. It was like alien to us. But we did accept, we had a lot of friends and family that were around, and would help when they could, when we let them, I suppose.
When we let them.
It's quite stubborn. But I think it's been a process. We had a couple of years grieving for the life that we lost. And then you kind of go into survival mode, and if you can get through that initial grief, and you have to go through victim mode grief because it's so life-changing.
This is why this is amazing to me? The both of you don't look like what you've gone through, and it's so exciting. Yeah, it's so encouraging. But I still want to know about your innovation. How did you get there?
What with the electric speedway bike?
Yeah.
For example, right. So I've got a workshop that most people would die for. It's massive. My workshop is massive, and I'd got 9 motorbikes in it at the time, and all other amount of machinery and stuff. And I'd got this speedway bike without an engine, and I'm always looking inside my head for projects and things to do. And I went to my workshop one day, and there's this speedway bike wheels frame without an engine, and I thought, what can I do with that? And because I was an auto electrician for 27 years, obviously electrics are my thing, and electrics, or auto electrics especially, feed my
creativity.
Yeah. So I thought, right, let's see if I can build an electric speedway bike. So of course, the first thing I did was to see if there was another one out there that I could get some inspiration off, or talk to the person. And of course, I couldn't find one. So I had to then search myself, and design it in my head, what I wanted. So I searched the internet, found a company called Voltsport that sold electric motors and controllers and things. So I spoke to them about doing the speedway bike, and they'd never done. So we had a chat about the best motor and system we could do. So I bought it. I bought the motor and the controller, and then, as I say, because I can't see very well, obviously, I couldn't do any drawings literally, so it all had to be in my head. And I kept going down to the workshop. So the way I run my life now is, if I want to do something that I used to do but can't see properly now, I still try to achieve that, But what I do process one. You just say it's got 5 processes, what I'm wanting to achieve. I do process one, and if I get through process one, I go to process two, and obviously carry on. But just say I get to process two and I can't go any further, I then have to think, how can I overcome my hurdle? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do I have to ask somebody to help me? You know, and that rips my heart out, asking people to help me, because I've never done that before. So I then come to a V in the road, into the process road. Do I turn left and ask someone to help me, or do I turn right and really examine how I can overcome this process? People have asked me how long did it take me, and I can't really answer it, because I'd go in the workshop in the morning, and if after process one I couldn't get any further, I came out, and if that took me 10 minutes, that meant I'd have 10 minutes at it. I had to come out and then assess what I'm going to do next. But if I went to process one and succeeded, and then to process two and succeeded, and then on to process three, I could be down there for 3 hours, if you know what I mean. When I left school, I became a blacksmith, an apprentice blacksmith, what I did for 10 years, and that was for the local coal board. I'm from a coal mining village.
Okay.
My dad was an engineer at the coal mine as well, so I've been brought up with motorbikes, cars, and anything engineering I've been brought up with. So I'm a natural engineer.
Okay,
so I've got that natural engineering.
Okay.
And then the collieries got shut down in the early 90s. So I got made redundant, and I'd always been, as I say, into cars, and motorbikes, and I'd always been electrically bent. Even at school, I was electrically bent. So I took myself back to college to go on a City and Guilds auto electrics course, which I did, and then I set my own business up doing auto electrics, which I did for 27 years. So I've got this natural gift to me. Well, I'm not saying gift as it, but to myself. I'm good with my hands, but to use your hands, you've got to use your eyes.
Yeah.
They are a combination, as you can understand. So now my eyesight is lacking. I can still use them, but I can't really see properly. So sometimes I overcome things by just if I want to drill the wall to put a shelf up, then Julie's eyes can look where I want to go, but my hands and natural ability to operate a drill, for example, we can do this between us. You know,
Wow.
You get what I mean?
This is lovely.
Yes. So the fact I've got a natural ability, engineering ability, is makes things easier for me.
Okay.
In fact, I know this is going off a bit, but this will make you laugh. So I did a pilot documentary for the BBC, and one of the things we did, so I can ride a motorbike now, even though I can't see properly, and part of that is because I've always been a motorbike rider. I've got a natural ability to ride a motorbike. I've not got the sight to ride one, fully, but I've got the natural ability. I've never baked a cake in my life or cooked. I've never really cooked in my life. So a challenge to me is to cook, right? So I did. So I invented, for want of a better word, a Blind Bloke Racing Boniface burger, right? So I thought about the ingredients. So it's a burger that's about 12-inch tall.
Okay.
So
how do you cook that?
Well, yes. So I did it. So obviously it's the bottom of the bun, if you know what I mean, the bread or whatever. And then it was a burger, a beef burger, a Lincolnshire beef burger. Then it was a hash brown. Then it was Lincolnshire sausage. I did it like Lincoln, because it's like everywhere. You have local produce. Yeah. And then a hash brown, and then smoky bacon, then a hash brown, then the top of the bun with a steak through it, and then some onion rings on top. So that's called the Blind Bloke Racing Bonneville burger, right? So the moral to the story is, the footage never got used, but my face and my persona was very nervous. Yet if you looked, I've been trying to get this footage because I want to do a comparison. You see me setting a record on a motorbike and I'm so cool and chilled out and everything else. And I'd love to see this footage of me cooking this burger, all perplexed and everything, so I can put it to
Lovely. We're going to come to that really. Thanks for sharing that. I needed to hear this because, for most young people today, they don't understand the whole aspect of having the right attitude and the right aptitude. You might be skillful, but with lack of the right attitude, you can't achieve anything. And one thing I've learned listening to you is the right attitude to life.
Yeah.
And that is a serious advantage you've got there. And you have a very good advantage too, Julie, by your side.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
the right association is key.
Yeah.
And that is why I want to come back to you, Julie. And look at it. As Nigel's experience, determination, influence your creative process, but I don't want to stop there as a writer. I also want to talk about you mentioned that you're writing the obstacles as a therapy for you. How important do you think storytelling and creativity are for mental health? And Nigel, I'm going to come to you, but I want to hear from you first. Because you've got to have a part where you transfer this negative energy and create balance. So talk to us about your story.
Yeah, so I think, like I said before, like Nigel said, you have a choice.
Okay.
And you can either sit in your pain, and what happens then? Nothing changes. Nobody really, well, they do care, but people get on with their own lives.
Yeah.
There's only so much somebody else can do for you. You have to find it within yourself. And I think every day when I was writing my book, I was almost reliving the experiences, but I was making sense of it as I was writing.
Okay.
So, and with a massive trauma like that, people turn to all sorts of different things. There's some people might turn to alcohol,
Right.
or drugs, or self-harm, or all kinds of things. I managed to get. You can't keep that amount of pain in your head, is what I'm saying. You have to get it out somewhere. So when I'm talking to my clients, I'll say to them, you just write it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it out there. And if you want to, you can burn that and just get rid of it. And I've learned an awful lot about dealing with trauma and helping other people. And I was a beauty therapist like years and years ago, but I went more into the holistic side. So actually being able to help people with their energy. Things happen in life and they send you down a slightly different path that you don't even know you're going to go down. And it's really, if you can open yourself up to that and think, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. But like Nigel, he can't do that auto electrician business anymore, but he can. He's still got his mouth, he can still talk, he's still got his hands, he's got me to help with the bits he can't see. He's got the determination, and if you have that little bit of hope inside and you never let that final spark go out, you can just do one day at a time. When we came out of hospital, we couldn't even leave the house, and we've been all over the world together now. And a massive challenge for Nigel was actually walking down the road or getting on some public transport, because we've never had to use public transport before, because he's always driven. Him getting used to me driving, whereas he'd been the driver, traditionally he would drive everywhere. So we've had to accept these changes, adapt to move on. So writing was definitely my therapy, and I'm so thankful that I had that, because I'd done a degree before this, and part of the degree was creative writing, and now I'm doing a master's because I'm turning my book into a script.
Wow.
So and actually just
We
started.
look forward to that movie.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm actually leaning more towards a 4 or 6 part series. Yeah. Yeah. So It is. It's and like I say, that creative process. You never know where you're going to go in life.
This is interesting. This is interesting. You know, I have this philosophy that situations in life gives you two options: to be bitter or be better. And sometimes people become bitter with life experiences, while
Yes.
some people get better. And truly, I must say, you have become better.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you've given so many people out there the reason to be better.
Thank you.
And so, thanks for all you do, and thanks, Nigel, for this. And I want to say thank you for sharing your story. You know, sometimes we keep this story to ourselves, but when you share this story to the world, people just realize I can do the same. You become the hope people look out for. I can do this, and that is why I want to ask Nigel and this very interesting part of this story. How has pursuing your goals helped you to stay resilient and focused?
Absolutely, and I know this is not quite the question you've asked, but I need to say this within it. By me doing my stuff keeps. I have to stop myself from swearing. I'm a natural swearer, so but yes. So keeping, if I can keep as much good in my head, there's less room for the not so good stuff.
Okay.
So by me doing these things makes me feel happy, and it gives me something to think about and concentrate. So that keeps my mental health quite good, if that answers the question.
Yeah. That's actually what I was looking for.
Yeah, and don't forget, when I'm, especially the motorbike thing or driving a car or something, no matter how long that is, even if it's only for 1 second or 20 seconds, Nigel is back to his old self for that time period. I'm not asking Julie to read me letters or drive me somewhere. I'm not asking nobody. It's just me on a motorbike or me driving a car, whatever challenge I'm doing. It's just me and whoever's up there. You know what I mean? So no matter how long it takes, I'm back to Nigel.
You still take those risks.
Yeah, there's something I was going to say then.
Independence.
Yeah, independence. I'm totally independent. That's the word, because I've lost most of my independence, and as a independent person, I always have been. That is the biggest thing I've had to overcome. To be fair, it really is. Losing my driving license was one of the major things that I've had to overcome. And that sounds stupid and silly, but until you're in this place, then you don't. You know that you can't understand. You don't realise. You know what I mean?
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much to learn from both of you. Just in the connection is inspiring, and that is why I want to talk about community support and advocacy. And looking at it, both of you dedicate time to supporting each other facing struggles. How have your experiences shaped the way you approach helping people in similar situations? I believe, what do you hope to achieve through your advocacy effort? Because this is a strong advocacy effort you're doing today. And so, how do you achieve what you do?
Well, we go all over the country doing talks to various different organisations, you know, and I think because it's a human experience that relates to everybody, you know, with mental health.
Resilience.
Bereavement, Nigel's done some talks for
Local
schools, every year group going into their assembly and talking, because one of their core values at one of the local schools was resilience. So talking about resilience, and you know, because I know when I was at school I was let's just say a little bit rebellious, and you don't realise when you're that age where you're a teenager that, you know, your schoolwork's important, and you know, doing your best at school's important, and actually you don't give up, you've got to try your best and everything like that. So for the kids to, that you couldn't hear a pin drop, and the headmaster said he's never seen the kids so quiet and engaged with a speaker that's been in, and they could hear them talking about it.
Because your story is real, and someone can relate to it.
He took his motorbike in and made them all jump when he started, and you know, and involved the kids as well.
Yeah.
You know, so to go from local schools and to different local organisations, right up to St James's Park, where we've spoken for the National Brain Injury Forum, because Nigel has brain injury as well.
Well, that's what's caused. I've not lost my sight through a degenerative disease. I've lost my sight through brain damage. It's brain damage that's caused me to lose my sight. So, but we keep, sorry for butting in, but we keep forgetting that I've got brain damage.
On a lighter note, you have people with no brain damage, but here they're not as smart as you. I can imagine what was happening then when you had no brain damage.
Well, I don't know. We've always been very what's the word? I can't even think of a word to describe us. Can you? Yeah.
No.
Right. I would say probably resilient and
Yeah.
independent and challenging viewpoints. Let's just say quite.
But just going on to what Julie was saying about talking to the kids and well, whoever was look, I have spoken alone. Julie does too. I do talks alone. Julie does talks alone, and we do them together. We're so glad that you've asked us to come together when we've got here, rather than doing individual, because we enjoy doing this. But going back to what Julie was saying about the kids listening to me, it's not just our story that's the thing. I like to think, without blowing our own trumpet, is that me and Julie are quite engaging people. So no matter what Julie talked about or what I talked about, there's a good chance.
A
good chance. There's you'd listen to us.
Very true.
You understand what I mean?
You connect.
Yes.
There's a strong connection. Just looking at both of you, you balance each other. And it's lovely to see.
Yeah. With our personalities, Nigel's very analytical and logical, and that was his job. Obviously, he had to analyse faults with cars and engineering, and I'm creative, so I describe my mind as like having butterflies in it, and I pin one down and then I develop it. But it's like I've got all these things going on, whereas Nigel but we do complement each other.
I've always said that if I was travelling 100 miles, the first thing I would do is put some petrol in the car. If Julie was travelling 100 miles, the first thing she'd do is get to where she's going to, and then worry about whether she's got enough petrol in the car. I've always said it, and that's true. You know, we think things different, absolutely.
I think we meet in the middle though, because, we have got a very good partnership.
The partnership is just so visible to see, and that's lovely. And so I want to ask Nigel, many people see disabilities as barriers, but not in your case. How do you turn your limitations into opportunities, and what role does mindset play?
Well, if I can answer that in opposite way around, mindset plays everything. Mindset is everything. But to answer your question, see, this is where my brain damage comes in, which, like you just said, I appear to be, but I've listened to your question and I've answered that, and I cannot think what you asked me, because all I know is who I am, and I know how I deal with stuff. And if anybody said to me in my life, you can't do it, then I've made a point of doing it to prove them wrong, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay. That is my nature. So I think the fact disability's here, I've decided to say, do you know what, I'm going to show you that I am partially blind, but I have got some sight which enables me to do what I do. Don't get me wrong, if I was totally blind, I won't be able to do as much as I can. But I would find something different to do, obviously, in a different way, you know. And again, it's always the thoughts of how can I achieve my end goal. And
can I just so Nigel last year, he's had a passion for radio, and when he was a teenager, CB radio was a thing, and but he's always wanted to do his amateur radio license, and he actually achieved that. Well, we looked into it, And we thought, how can you do it? Because there's an exam that you have to do. And Nigel's studying is not, it doesn't retain information that well, do you really? Especially studying for an exam.
Yeah.
But he studied. When I started to do my MA, Nigel said, right, I'm going to study for my amateur radio licence. I'm going to do it. And he did it. And when Nigel did the exam, we spoke to the examiner, and it was properly invigilated and everything. It was online, but the guy was watching on video, and we said to him, we've done the practice one. Nigel's pressing the right answer, but it's not going on the right thing because he can't see it properly. Is it okay if Nigel says the answer out loud and I press the button? And they said, yes, that's absolutely fine. So he was able to do his exam. He would speak the answer and then tell me which one to press, and I pressed it. And that's how he passed the exam. So that was a collaboration, that was a barrier that we broke through.
That's lovely. And,
Yeah.
This is something just listening to both of you, I believe you've got a beautiful mind. That's the truth, because I've seen successful blind people, I've seen successful crippled, dumb, deaf, what you can. I don't think you've ever seen a successful person that have lost their mind. So as long as you've got your mind working, you can still achieve success. And I think that is one thing, listening to you and going through your books, going through your profile online. I just looked at this man have a beautiful mind. And listening to Julie, I understand why you're blessed. You're blessed. You're blessed. And so that is why I want to talk to Julie. Having the hop picked up by a publisher is a major milestone, I believe so. And so, how has this accomplishment impacted your outlook on writing? And how do you ever see your future, perhaps even a film?
Okay. So I have to say I did have a publisher. They weren't quite what I'd hoped. They got the book into Waterstones, and it's already on Amazon, but I've self-published again since then.
Wow.
And the copyright now belongs back to me, which I'm quite pleased about, because I want to adapt the story now for the screenplay. So, but yes, I mean it's a whole different. It's a bit of a minefield out there trying to get a traditional publishing deal. It's very, if you can find somebody that believes in you. And now I'm doing this MA with Falmouth University, and a lot of the lecturers, etc., are actually working in the TV and film industry as well as lecturing. And I've made some very good network connections within the TV industry. I mean, a chap that I was not collaborating with, but I hope to in the future, was one of the, well, he actually wrote for EastEnders and The Bill and Holby City and Casualties. So, you know, a very, very experienced, very talented screenwriter who is quite interested in looking at my next project. So that's very exciting
Because
to me.
both of your lives, we make a good script.
Yeah. Yes, there's an awful lot we've both done, because we both, like Nigel said, he's always had that entrepreneurial, go-getting kind of a spirit, and I've always challenged rules, let's say. I've, you know,
Challenge society.
yeah, I mean, at grammar school, I was probably, you know, not the best. Because I was highly spirited, let's just say that. And the teachers weren't perhaps quite easy. They wanted the clever kids that wanted to be doctors and barristers. They didn't want the clever kids that argued back.
That's fair.
So since I've left school, which was in 1983, a long time ago, but I've been to college, and then so I put myself through university, got a bachelor's honours in humanities with creative writing and classical studies, and now I'm well on my way to getting a distinction for my masters.
So you make a lot of money from these skills.
Yeah, so it wasn't a lack of intelligence. It was a lack of cooperating and challenging boundaries. You know, and I've always done that. You know, I worked for the library service for a lot of years, and I loved it. But I like working for myself because you can do it when you can play with it. Okay, exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay.
And you have to be quite self-disciplined as well, working for yourself. When I wrote The Hub, it only took me 6 weeks to write it, because I was writing from morning till midnight, because I didn't want to forget a thing. I had a professional editor come and edit it for me, because that's not my skill set. You know, and I wanted another professional pair of eyes to look at it and make sure it was the best. I would say if you're going to publish a book, you can self-publish very easily, but make sure it is the best piece of work. Because once it's out there, it's out there,
Yeah, it's
right?
difficult to retract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you've got a professional piece of work that's been edited by somebody professional, it makes so much difference. I've lost my train of thought now.
But you know, you've blessed with saying really. So I'm just really enjoying myself listening to it, and I believe everyone out there have the same experience. They're having the same experience I'm having, learning a lot. That is why I want to encourage everyone listening to us. Please go out there and get the book. Before we close, she's going to talk to us how to get this book. We need to read your book, and so you please, even if I do forget, don't forget. We need to get the book. Are you getting it? So I want to ask this question: your biggest challenges both of you have faced, and both of you have faced and overcome significant challenges. Listening to both of you, what were the toughest moments in your respective journeys? And so I'm going to start from you, Nigel, then we're going to come back to Julie. And how did you push through them?
I keep saying, sometimes I don't know. It's just who I am, you know what I mean? If I can use this analogy, I've always had a good heart all my life. I've always been that kind of person. And like I've said, I've had a good life with great parents and a great childhood. And when I was in my dark place, when I wanted to commit suicide and take it all away, I ultimately knew what a good life felt like. At that moment in time, I wasn't in a good life, hence wanting to take my own life. But I knew what a good life felt like. And I knew that if I could get to the end of the tunnel and get back to that good life, life would be good again. So that's what I just strove to, if that's the right word, striven or whatever. I just decided I was going to get to that kind heart place, no matter what it took. And it took a lot of energy and thought process, and to help me along that way is why I do these projects. I mean, so if I can just say this, my dad sadly died 5 years ago, in a couple of weeks' time, 5 years ago, ran suddenly. He was an engineer, like I said, and he made models and steam engines and things, which I now own. And he was working on certain models, steam engines, before he died, and he couldn't finish them off. And I'm determined, I keep getting them out, and I'm determined to finish some of these models off to the best of my capabilities. You know, so I just filled my head with good thoughts and things that please me, and doing these projects, whatever the project is. The project could be doing something I've never done before, i.e. making a Blind Bloke Racing burger. You know, as much as it caused me anxiety doing it, and fear and trepidation, equally, it just, while I'm thinking about that, I'm not thinking about
Something negative.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, but because when, you know, I don't want to put a shine on what we've been through. You know, we are still ill people. You know, Julie went through a mental breakdown. I've had brain damage and now lost a lot of my sight. These aren't scratches on your elbow, that they are for life.
Yeah.
You know, they're for life. And I'm never going to get any better. And I'm sure Julie's side of breakdown is never going to get any better, if you know what I mean. Not that Julie will have another breakdown, possibly, because
these are realities that she's got to live with.
But you know, so, and I'm sure I can speak for me and Julie with this. The more we can keep good up here, it just
helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing what we want to do, like we're here this morning. We were coming to London this afternoon for an appointment for Julie. I contacted you, didn't I?
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, and we arranged to come. So we got here earlier, to London earlier,
We stopped at Luton last night because the trains are all disrupted because there's engineering works.
Okay.
So we've got here this morning quite early to make sure we're here. We've gone for a cup of tea and stuff like that, you know. So whatever me and Julie decide to do, generally, we do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from you, Julie. What do you think?
Biggest challenges. So 2015 was a hugely challenging year, obviously with the loss of my mum, and then Nigel, being told that Nigel wasn't going to survive. Hugely, it sent me into mental breakdown. But actually, when I was in that abusive hospital, and I didn't know if I was ever going to see my home and my family again, and I thought, I'm not going to let these people beat me. I haven't come this far. We haven't brought him back to life for me to end my life in this place. And I was determined that I was going to get out of there, no matter what. No matter what. And every day, it was, I'm talking about it now, it puts me back in that place. And it'll be, no, it's okay. Say it's 9 years ago, and it's this time of year as well. As I say, I actually went into that place in March, but I came out of the nice place in January. So that was the most challenging, is keeping that hope alive every day when you just think it's just that despair, and there's bars on the window and there's people, it was just horrific. So that was my biggest challenge, was getting home from, I didn't think I would make it back.
And thanks for sharing, because this program is known as Let's Get It Real. And you guys have been so real. And that's true, because it is only when we have people that can be as real as you that we can truly impact our community. Because oftentimes people hide their pain, and you have the youth of these days, even people these days, go into depression and they don't know how to get out of it. But you people are living example that you can get out of depression, you can turn your pain into purpose.
Can I just say as well, your mental health is so linked to your physical health.
Yeah.
If you're in pain in your head, with your mental health, it makes your whole body hurt. And if your body hurts, it makes your mental health come down. So by keeping ourselves healthy and as fit as we can, I was never a runner, ever, but I started running. I've done a half marathon. I haven't run for a little while, but we try and get out for a walk. We try and be as active as we can. And keeping yourself, having obviously good nutrition, good food, hydrated, all the right things. If you can do something for yourself every day, even if it's that you get enough sleep, it's one of the pillars of health. Sleep is so important. Keep yourself hydrated.
Yeah.
Get the good food, move your body a bit, even if it's only that you can just walk outside in the garden and come back again. There's always something that you can do for yourself.
And doing something to please your mind.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Nigel. I'm so grateful. And speaking on behalf of so many people out there globally listening to both of you, is so grateful. And that is why I want to ask both of you this question. What are your individual and shared goals moving forward? You're going to ask individual, and then I believe you have individual goals and then shared goals. And then are there new records, especially for you, Nigel? I know you want to break records. Are there new records of projects you are aiming? And so I need to always going to go first.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing in the pipeline. I don't want to be evil Knievel and push myself until I kill myself again. If you understand what I'm saying. So look, I was always saying this to you the other day. I'm desperate to get on a motorbike and ride it, and I'm desperate to get in a car and drive. I don't have a license, so I can't do that. So I then have to. So going back to setting the record, somebody says to me one time, why did you set a record? And one of the reasons why I set it, well, probably the main reason is I had to put a lot of effort into getting me to ride a motorbike, not on a road. So I did it on a drag strip. I had to put so much effort into doing that. It was futile, not having an end product, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if you said to me today, right, I've got a motorbike outside, you can ride it in the car park,
nobody's going to tell you off. I would be on it in a second because I'm just desperate
Wow.
to ride and drive a car, you know. And by doing a record, it gives them something to make it all worthwhile.
Why? Yeah.
So have I got a project? And the answer's not at this moment, which pleases Julie, I think. As I said, as Julie said, I studied to be a radio amateur.
Okay.
And I'm into that now, so I'm talking to people all over the world, and from home, I've got a massive aerial.
Okay.
But equally, I've got a portable set that I go down, because we live next to the beach. You know, we live half a mile from the beach where we live. So I go down to the beach, set my aerial mast up with a radio, and I talk to America and stuff. So this has now given me a reason to get out of the house. Not that I need a reason, because I get out anyway. But so amateur radio is kind of the thing, and through that, I've inspired people. I've been asked to be a guest speaker at the Radio Society of Great Britain's convention, which we did in Milton Keynes a few months ago. So and the contact had been said that since I did that thing, my talk, the graph has gone sky high with disabled people contacting them to see how they can get engaged in amateur radio.
This is what it means to live an inspiring life.
Yeah, but I do it without even real. You know, I'm not out there to think, right, I need to inspire people. I just do it naturally because we are engaging people. But yeah, so yeah, projects. I probably
No,
can't.
there will be some.
Yeah, there was something.
No doubt.
Yeah, but as I say, at the moment, I'm just getting all the models that my dad was working on before he died, and I've got one on the table now. In fact, I've got 3 on the table. Every person should have 3 projects on the go at the same time.
Okay, that's a new one. I'm learning that. Okay. Do you want to share? Okay, no, because whatever you do, have new books on the shelf, you're working on something new. What should we be looking at?
Well, my main aim this year is to finish my master's degree. Okay, and get something into production. So that's what I'm focusing on. We do a lot of travelling as well. I mean, we went to America 3 times last year. We're going to America at the end of this year, and we said, right, we're not going to do much now because we need to stay grounded, and I need to do it's an awful lot of work to do. So we can't be gallivanting off all around the world everywhere.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it. I can't see much further than that at the moment.
That's good. And yeah. So I'm just going to say this before we close, and there's a message of hope, because you guys are messages of hope. That's the truth. Julie, Nigel, you are both messages of hope. And I want to say this, and for listeners who may be going through their own struggles, and what advice or message of hope would you like to share based on your incredible story? So I'm going to give, Julie, you're going to share first, and then Nigel, you're going to share. Okay. What message of hope do you have for the listeners? People are listening all over the world at this point in time. What is your message of hope?
So when you wake up in the morning and you think you can't even face that day, you've got another day on this planet to live. And even, like I say, even if it's that you've got up and you've washed your face, or you've put your favourite music on, there's always hope. Well, there's life, there's hope. So never, ever, ever, ever give up, because even in your darkest days, you don't know what you can do, and you were put on this earth to do something, not to give up. That's it.
I just have a friend of mine who's listening to you right now. Someone called me a few days ago and said, I feel like committing suicide. I'm like, please, you can't do that. I have to run down to see this person and said, you're in the UK, and just because business is going bad and nowhere to get fund, and she just felt it is time to trade it out. Like, I have done all I could, I just want to commit suicide. So I believe people listening to you, and we have reason to live. Every day is a gift. So thank you for sharing, Julie. And what about you, Nigel?
Well, from my point of view, people might be listening to me who's visually impaired or disabled, can't do what I've done. I'm not here to say do what I do and I'm better than you. That's nothing like that. All I'm here to say, if that's the right word, is to, no matter what challenges you have, face them challenges. My mountain might be this high, your mountain might be that high, but if we both can get to the top of them mountains, we're both achieved everything. If you've never buttered a slice of toast ever since your disability, by buttering the slice of toast, you've achieved massive amounts, just like I've achieved massive amounts. It's not a matter of what you achieve, it's, in my view, it's a matter of breaking down them barriers of just doing something today that you never did yesterday, you know, that you never thought you could do today is even better if you can do it, you know. So every day I get up and I just think, what can I do today that I didn't do yesterday? And
This is interesting.
yeah,
I think you can turn it round, because we used to have all our days would be dark, you know. Like I said before, we couldn't leave the house, and the thought of actually going outside was scary.
it took me months to go outside.
And every day was a bad day, but we were together. That was the thing. But gradually, day by day, just one day, just do that one day, and then you think, oh, that's a week, and you're a week a little bit, tiny bit more healed than you were the week before.
And don't forget, I've come here today looking all confident and everything, but if I come here on my own, I couldn't have done it. I'd have been terrified of leaving the tube station and walking here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I have got some sight to walk and stuff, and I can see certain stuff, but I've got no ability now to think, right, so there's there's a HSB over there, there's Lloyd's over there, and something else over there. Right, I need to, because before this happened, I would find what's the word? I'd find locations of where I needed to get back to, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do.
But when I come out of the door, I mean, so last night we stopped in a hotel in Luton, and you said to me, do you want to go downstairs to get something? And I said, well, I don't know how to get down. I don't know to get back.
Because you haven't taken notice because I was with you.
Because when we came into the hotel, I just followed Julie upstairs. But if Julie was having to leave me for 4 hours, I would have made sure that when we went in, I would have counted the steps, how many feet steps is to the room. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But because we weren't planning on going out last night, I just followed Julie upstairs, up to the room, never taking any notice. You know, so it's...
I guess that's another thing as well, is if you do need some help and you've got somewhere that you can lean on them, and they will help you. People want to help you, generally.
Yeah, they do on the whole.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, really, you guys, you're not just giving the message, you have become the message, and that is inspiring. I want to say thank you. Thank you for coming out today. But before we go, we would like to know how we can reach out. I want to encourage everyone listening to please get to the YouTube and subscribe to the Fancy TV YouTube channel, and get also the Fancy Radio. Subscribe so that you can listen to our guests again and again. The video will be there for you to just repeat. There's so much to learn. So we encourage you to go right now and subscribe to Fancy TV and then Fancy Radio. It is important you do this. There are several other videos there that are inspiring, just like the one you're listening to, watching right now. But before we go, I want you to give us the opportunity to get your books. So can you speak to our audience? Just tell them how your books can be located and your contact, online contact, social media contact. Can you please?
Sure. Yeah, so my book is called The Hub, that's HUB, and it's by Joni Daniels, that's Joni Daniels. and it's on Amazon. And you can follow me. I'm the Feel Good Lady. That's all one with the Feel Good Lady on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn as Scriptwriter83, but I don't actually do a lot on there at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, the Feel Good Lady and the Hub by Joni Daniels.
Okay. Is there a way you can get people can also get in? Or just
Blind Bloke Racing.
Yeah, but Blind Bloke Racing.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, I think it's called Nigel Blind Bloke Racing. Instagram's Blind Bloke Racing. Facebook is Blind Bloke Racing. And obviously, if you just type my name, Nigel Limb, which is Nigel, Limb, that's how you spell my surname. If you type that into Google, it'll fetch up about me and what I've done and what I do. So there's a lot online about us, yeah. So, because obviously, sorry for saying this, but the reason why this came about is because of my tragic accident, which was a tragedy in many ways, you know what I mean, and it was felt around the racing world, if you know what I mean.
There's a lot online.
Yeah, there's a lot online.
and both of you are open to conference speaking, is that not?
Yes, absolutely.
So people that because I believe people, schools and
Yes.
organizations should look at for you guys, and so you want someone to inspire your team, you want someone to inspire your school, your organization. I think that
Absolutely.
you need to reach out to these two people, so they are open to conference speaking. They just confirmed that, because I feel two of you should speak a lot here in the United Kingdom.
Yes,
There's,
well, not just last
not,
one.
and all over the world, you
Yeah.
people need to hear you guys, your stories.
Yeah, my last talk, which was end of November, was for Rolls-Royce Aerospace.
Lovely.
So
Yes.
that's, yes, that was my last talk on 25th of November, so.
So please try and reach out to Julie and
Yeah,
Nigel.
absolutely.
They are open to speaking engagement,
Yeah.
and also we look forward to our movies, and I hope our script will become one of the best-selling movies very soon. And so thank you for coming. I want to say, Julie and Nigel, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
It's
Thank
truly
you.
grateful to have you.
Thank you.
And I want to encourage everyone out there, stay tuned to Fancy Radio for more interesting discussion. Thank you.